All right. Welcome in. Hey, Happy New Year. Episode 42, Ryan Ripken Show. We are in 2024. Hey, Zach, you're alive over there?
Yeah. It was not looking good for a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Like 24 hours ago, I was probably doubtful for this show, but it just helps. 12 hours ago, I was probably doubtful for this show, but we made it. That's all that matters. We just fought back. A lot of liquid IV, but we're here.
You got to show up. You got to show up and do the job. And Brad is with us behind the scenes. Happy New Year, Brad. 2024.
Yes, sir. You too.
We're here. Hey, everyone, for Happy New Year to everyone. Thanks for joining. If you're new to the channel, if you don't mind hitting that like, subscribe button. And for those that are back, welcome back. Does it feel like a new year? Absolutely not. Honestly, I do feel like I'm a year older. And Kyle, I can attest to, drank entirely too much tequila last night. Good for you. In moderation, though. Zach, how about that? You trying to call me out on taking a shot?
Yeah, that was so funny. I'm not going to lie. I kind of woke up this morning and saw that interaction and re-laughed at myself. Like I forgot about it. And then I was like, that's so funny. I made you take another shot. Peer pressure works, people.
Yeah, but
peer pressure works.
Luckily, I was in a great mood, and you're still a kid. You're still a good kid. Yeah. We're trying to teach Zach how to handle himself accordingly a lot. Yeah. Brad, you know this because you're dad of the group.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, Shekel, we appreciate you still showing up, even though it was not how you wanted the game to go yesterday. If the game went differently, though, I might not be feeling as badly. So,
well, I did say that I thought that it wouldn't surprise me if it was an ass whooping on Thursday's stream. I said, listen, it would not surprise me. I wasn't trying to pull a Mike Florio. I was just saying, given what the Dolphins have played up until this point, and who the Ravens have played, and how they've won those games, that it wouldn't surprise me if we saw a similar type of ass beating. And sure enough, we did. So sorry, Shekel, about it. But look, Ravens are the best team in the NFL. Period.
Point blank.
Yeah, we're not.
Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
I know I feel like I'm stealing the show, but we're going to be talking about that a lot later in the show as far as the Ravens game's concerned. So make sure you're sticking around and stay tuned, because we are going into all things Ravens, Dolphins, all things Lamar Jackson, what people are talking about. We're going to react to it ourselves. But Ryan, take it away.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to ease into this ourselves, because it's just long night. Not that, New Year's, I think it sometimes can be overrated of a holiday at times. I think it's safe to say things,
So here's a question. Is New Year's the holiday, or is New Year's Eve the holiday?
I'm going to be honest, I have no fucking idea. I think it's all in one for me.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I was getting questions, like people were asking, like, oh, you guys are actually doing a show tonight? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, on New Year's? I was like, I feel like if it was on New Year's Eve, we wouldn't. But
yeah. Like,
because I feel like New Year's Eve is when you go out and celebrate, and then New Year's Day is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like, it doesn't actually exist. It's a weird day. Like, it's the end of everything that just happened. Like, that's your decompressed day. Like, New Year's Day, you're like, wow, the last week a lot just went down with Christmas, New Year's, all that. So I don't really count today as a real day.
I feel like New Year's Eve is the actual holiday itself.
Mm-hmm.
And New Year's Day is just the day they recover, because everybody just got shit faced. So it's just there. Just
okay. I like how
to recovery day.
Kyle put this. New Year's Eve is the party. New Year's Day is the holiday. I respect that. I respect that.
I respect that a lot. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, we're gonna have to work our way into this, right? Because everyone in this, a lot of people in this chat probably watched the Ravens game yesterday and probably celebrated last night. Or just whatever in between. It's been a lot going on, but there's a lot of other things that happen around the NFL that also it's been pretty impactful. Not that the Ravens, we know they're the number one seed. The San Francisco 49ers are the number one seed because of some other situations that happened. But so we're going to work our way through on a couple of spicy topics, and then we're going to dive into a few people that are curious to still have let me backtrack this, have the audacity to still say that Lamar Jackson isn't the MVP. I'll save that for now. Yeah. But let's get going, guys, because, man, we need to start somewhere. And sandwiched between the massive game with the Ravens and Dolphins and I guess whatever happened on what day is it now? Gosh, I'm all over the place. That game on Saturday. It wasn't on Sunday. The Lions-Cowboys. Holy hell. What happened there? And this is why it's so important to bring up. the Lions, if you didn't watch the game, the Lions lost in heartbreaking fashion to the Cowboys. They thought they had the game won, and then all of a sudden, they get called for an illegal touching where they were stating that the Lions did not properly report Taylor Decker is eligible on the game-winning 2-point conversion. Why does this matter? Well, because the Lions lose the game, the Eagles lose, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And now the Cowboys are the number 2 seed. And if they win in week 18, they will be the number 2 seed and win the NFC East. So, Brad, let's start with that. And we have some video clips here of the situation with the play itself. And I think we wanted to look at, we'll add the initial play where Jared Goff is motioning him in. If you can pull that one up for me, Brad.
Yep.
Here it is. There's Goff saying, hey, Taylor, go tell him that we want you to report. So there's number 1. It's evident. It's on the screen. You see it, right? Now number 2 from the different angle, if we can pull that one in, Brad.
Not a good look by the NFL.
And so this is where it gets frustrating if you're a Lions fan. They have the 2 linemen that go over there, or 3, depending on how you look at it, but the referee is already starting to move away, right? So you wonder and you think that Taylor Decker is doing everything he's supposed to do. Now, I do understand it is the player's responsibility to make sure the referee knows that you're in. So if he doesn't hear you, they're not going to say, oh, my bad. They're going to say, I'm sorry, you didn't get my attention. Clearly, the referee didn't get his attention. We all know what happened there. Mm-hmm. And then the talk afterwards, because I thought Jared Goff's explanation in his presser, and then we'll react to this, guys. Jared Goff could have every reason to throw everyone under the bus, be pissed, but talk about being a pro. Listen to his response after a really crushing and frustrating loss, and really hurt the Lions' chances of that 2 seed.
After the first 2-point play?
Pretty confused. What I do know, and I don't know if I'll get fined for this, but I do know that Decker reported. I do know that Dan Skipper did not. And I do know that they said that Dan Skipper did. So it's unfortunate.
Can you explain? I think people maybe don't realize this. I don't know if you're part of these conversations or not, but you explain the trick plays that may come up to officials before the game. Can you just explain what goes on, or that?
That's you ask Dan about that. I've got no idea.
All right, so we didn't have the full part of it. Before, he mentioned that they had other chances to win the game. They went for it on 4th down. That's the no team lives and dies by the sword, Zach, more than the Detroit Lions. And earlier in the game, they did go for it, and they didn't get it at the goal line. But in this case, what hurts is that this clearly was a play that would have put them ahead, and all of a sudden the Lions are sitting there pissed off, realizing a great opportunity passed them.
Yeah, I think the way that the first play ended with the penalty and everything that went down, the Lions were robbed in that aspect, I believe. I completely think that's what happened. It was a complete mess up by the officials. They put in the wrong guy was the eligible receiver, messed up the whole play. Now we're 5 yards back. Kick the field goal. I don't understand why. That's part of me why I don't feel as bad for Detroit and Dan Campbell. Actually, I feel horrible for Detroit fans because if my head coach went for 2 from the 7-yard line, like when they were keeping the offense out there, I was like, does Dan Campbell know that they just backed him up 5 yards from the 7-yard line?
Do you have that same feeling? And maybe everyone else can chime in on this. Do you ever have that, if it's whether you're doing something in your life or something happens where it's like the world is trying to tell you there's like an intervention, like, nope, don't do this. Mm-hmm. In this case, the play got called back. Then they don't get it. Then there's another penalty. It just felt like every sign was pointing, Zach, to them being like, just hey,
kick the ball. Extra point. Let's go to overtime.
The last 3 minutes of this game was an absolute clusterfuck.
Incredible though, for viewing pleasure.
Both coaches tried to lose this game the last 3 minutes. Really, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You have Mike McCarthy that doesn't know how to run a clock, or doesn't know how to manage his time.
3 throws. 3 throws.
And like one of them was like a bomb
out of bounds.
It just.
Oh, and by the way,
the game was over. I thought the game, and it should have been over. Like the Cowboys should have won the game. Like it shouldn't even gotten down to the referees, right? Like the game should have been over well before it got to that point. And then Dan Campbell does what he does and continues to try to just go for two. Like, just kick the ball. And I even told you guys this in our little group chat. I was just we were all watching it together. It's just like, just kick the fucking ball, bro. And then
it makes no sense.
Yeah,
Makes no sense.
I will say this also on the referee side of this. A couple things. One, I think there was a possible illegal formation where even if for Taylor Decker, they missed. I think they missed that. So the call wasn't on a formation; it was on an illegal touching. So that's one there. Two, on the drive before as well, they got the Cowboys got called for a tripping call, which actually, when they look back, it should have been on Aiden Hutchinson. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the point being, there was a lot of missed calls, but both teams were saying, you know what, you win the game. No, you win the game. Yeah. I don't blame Dan Campbell. That's been their philosophy, and they believe that they're going to go out there on any down, fourth down, 4th and 12, 4th and 7, or for whatever the situations are, that they're going to go out there and succeed. But man, that's why I feel for the fans, because the Lions, you're right there. This is such an exciting season. And to have a moment here, I think this is the biggest part, is we don't want to have a conversation right now be that a playoff seeding is going to be decided by a call or miscall. I think that's where everyone looks at this. And yes, and that's exactly what we just talked about, that they missed that call as well. And I think that's just what we're hating, is that there's just a lot of missed calls in big moments. And in a game that was so damn exciting, the referees now are at the forefront of the conversation now to update people that referee staff has been downgraded. They will not be coaching in the postseason.
Brad Allen and the crew.
They are going to be going to be home for they've been reassigned. But because the Eagles lost, and how about the Eagles, man? We could talk about them for a while.
Baby.
Oh. And Brad, what'd you say that was ironic with the Arizona Cardinals with the NFC East this year?
Yeah, so I mean, Philadelphia fans can be in their feelings about losing to the Cardinals, arguably one of the worst teams in the NFL, but they also beat the Cowboys. I mean, we really want to get down to it, which is pretty crazy. The number two seed in the league, and then the Eagles number 3, I guess right now, right? The Eagles are 3.
They're frisky. Cardinals are a frisky team.
They just never know. It's just kind of crazy. 4 wins the Cardinals now have this season, and 2 of them are playoff, potentially Super Bowl contending teams. So I feel for you guys, for you Philly fans, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, Cardinals have just been doing this to teams all year.
Yeah, but I will say too, if you're a Lions fan, at least you got to feel that if you got to go on the road to play Dallas, feel like you can win Dallas. Like that defense, that was one of the best defensive efforts that the Lions had, especially with the Cowboys. We know they're a different team at home. They just play better at home. But even the Cowboys offense was not rolling on all cylinders.
Yeah, and the Seahawks almost did that to them as well.
Well, at least in that case, the Cowboys were putting up points. In this game, it was both defenses were pulling the weight. And then it was who was going to make the final blow. And the Lions thought they had it. Unfortunately, they didn't. That's just the way it crumbles. But can
we talk about real quick just the other massive play that went viral from that game? The CeeDee Lamb touchdown that should have been a safety.
Oh my goodness.
But I guess NFL defenders have come out and said that they believe he was afraid of getting a roughing the passer call. So does that impact it? I guess we'll see. But that should have been 2 points to Detroit, and instead it was 7 points for Dallas. So that's a 9-point swing right there. So, it's like Jared Goff said, yes, it sucks that at the end of the day, it feels like the refs decided the game, but both teams had so many chances.
They really did. No doubt about that. But hey, from officiating and to now just overseeing plays of what's going on in the field, which in this case, why we're bringing this up, because this has become a very hot topic. And we just found this out right before we were starting the show. That's why we want to talk about it. Another fine is out there. And if you watch the video, you're going to scratch your head again and go, I mean, really, what is this shit? Saquon Barkley was just fined over $20,000 for initiating contact with his head. And we have the play right here against the Philadelphia Eagles. This was the prior week. Handoff. You're going to see Saquon put his head down, but he's expecting contact. And also, you don't know exactly you're going to run into, but because he initiated the contact there, the NFL fined him $20,000 or $21,000. That was not called in the game. That was the NFL stepping in and reviewing and assessing that was an illegal play by Saquon Barkley, therefore the foul. And I think J.J. Watt here, Brad, you have the graphic, even responded to this situation that this is getting a little bit ridiculous. So if you guys can read that. First, running backs get crushed in contract negotiations. Now they can't even play their position without risking fines. How are you supposed to run between the tackles and properly protect yourself? You want to run straight up and down, get their knee blown out? It's football. And he's right. I get you need to make the NFL safer. I think we've reiterated this. I think everyone understands the worries of trying to do this. But if you are running the football and someone's coming at you at 110 miles an hour to smack the shit out of you, what are you supposed to do?
I watched the play like 7 times, literally just wondering if I missed something. Like, does he lunge? Does he do something? It's just a football play. Like, those are the plays where you see that they were fined so much money. I think what annoys players the most is they're getting these fines from these normal plays that flags aren't thrown on. That's where I think the players are really getting upset is they're going and they're leaving the game thinking, okay, pretty clean game, no flags on me. Then all of a sudden you get home the next day and it's like, oh, well, remember when you were just running the ball for 8 yards and you put your head down on the most normal football play we've ever seen? It's going to cost you $20K.
Well, you know what I was just thinking about, Brad? Sorry, the last thing is I just imagine coaches in situations, you're watching the film like, hey, way to run the ball hard. Yeah. Great job. And then, oh, here's your fine in the mail, like a week later. Because that's what it looks like to me. If you watch this, most people, even coaches, maybe a coach here and there, correct me if I'm wrong, they could say, hey, be careful. They could say that if the NFL is cracking down on this more, right? But typically they're going to be, hey, way to run hard. Because there was nothing out of the blue there that I would have thought otherwise, Brad.
I was just going to say, we saw the same thing from Amon-Ra St. Brown a few weeks ago. We talked about this, and it was like he got fined, I don't know, what, $18,000? It was like 5% of his salary for this year. He got fined for a routine play, and it just makes zero sense. I don't know why the NFL seems to have all of a sudden hired a whole team of people to just scour every single play of every game and find reasons to find these players. It doesn't make any sense. I would understand, like, if there was some sort of crazy helmet to helmet play that maybe the refs didn't catch, or something egregious that just there was no flag thrown for, or what have you. But just to sit here and just pick apart plays like this, it makes zero sense as to why the fines are getting so out of control. I have to imagine the NFLPA gets involved in this somehow, because it's just absolutely insane. Look, some of you guys out there who are watching might be like, oh, well, they're making millions of dollars, but who cares? But to be fined 5% of your salary, how would it make you feel if you got 5% of your salary just yanked from you
for doing something that you do every single day? Like, how many times has Saquon Barkley put his head down to try to run someone over? Now it's like, oh, yeah, but you got a little too much of the crown. So that is $20,000. And kind of what you were just alluding to, Brad. Yeah, for a guy like Saquon Barkley, $20,000 isn't going to mean much to him. He's making, I think it's $12.5 million this year. But we've seen guys like Jaylen Warren get fined, and it legitimately is like 1/4 of his entire year check. And it's like crazy, because for that guy, he was fined $50,000. He didn't make money that game. Like, he played for free.
And that's the part of it. And that's the crazy shit with all this is, again, we understand the NFL has to try to make the product safer. But man, as a fan, and when you're programmed like that, right? When you're programmed, this is how you run. And also, for some of the guys, they understand too. It's, I'm playing this sport. I understand the circumstances. You want to make them safer, but there's only so much you can continue to deviate away from taking away what makes being a running back. Being tough, being physical. And Saquon Barkley, the reason why people loved him so much is because he's tough, he is elusive, but he is a physical back. And shit just sucks. But Again, this is something that's going to be an ongoing conversation, right? I think the NFL we're seeing it more and more. And I think that's as fans, I think people just are tired of hearing about the referee situation and are tired of hearing about finding situations. I understand with the Kareem Jackson, you guys remember that earlier this year, where he got a helmet to helmet, then you go, hey, he's going to be suspended. He was a multiple
time offender.
Yeah, multiple time offender. So therefore, it makes sense. Again, the helmet to helmet, high impact plays makes sense. Routine play in the hole where a guy's shedding a block and Saquon runs into him. Come on.
You don't need to go back and go through each play with a fine tooth comb and just try to figure out things to find people for. I mean, that's not what we're trying to do. Like Brad said, if there's a blatant play or there's a blatant action in a play that you're like, okay, looking back, this was missed on the field, this should have been a penalty, whatever it may be, I get that. This was a football play. Like, what else is Saquon Barkley supposed to do?
I guess not play. I don't know. Well, whammy. Let's keep moving because this is only going to make me mad. What's it? It's Wedding Crash. I love that scene.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about what happened. It's only going to make me mad. Do you know what scene? Are you too young for that, Zach?
I've seen Wedding Crashes.
Jeez. But if you can't quote it as enough as I can, then we have a fucking problem. We'll get there though. But let's talk about a guy.
Yeah, only a few more topics till the Ravens,
Yes, we are going to get into the Ravens here in a second. We're very close, but I want to talk about another quarterback that people sometimes compared to Lamar Jackson, which I don't think was necessarily fair to Lamar, not fair to this quarterback. That's Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. But Justin Fields and the Bears. How about the Bears sitting at 7-9 now after what seemed like was just a dumpster fire early on? They built up a foundation, the Montez Sweat, just like the Rowe effect in Baltimore, Montez Sweat. Hey, they signed him. They did what they had to do, and it transformed. And we were skeptical just because of where the Bears were initially. But, man, the Bears seem to be finding it. But Justin Fields specifically, unbelievable performance the last few weeks. Him and DJ Moore have had a great connection. That's now over 1,300 yards for DJ Moore. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields leads them to another win against an Atlanta Falcons defense that sneaky has been solid. Yeah. Sneaky has been solid against the run and against the pass. And he threw for 268 yards. He ran for a score, I believe. He threw for a score. Tremendous game for him. The reason why we bring this up is because Dan Orlovsky put out a tweet here. And I want to see if I can pull it up right here. If I can learn how to do this properly, Brad, let's see if I got this down. See if I'm becoming more technologically sound. Whammy. Here it is.
Boom.
The Chicago Bears in the field situation is now legit fascinating. And the question at the bottom is, how many of the last 10 number one overall quarterbacks flipped their franchise? If you're listening to this later, because we have this on Spotify and Apple, these are the 10 quarterbacks. I'm going to read them off. Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, famous Jameis Winston, Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, Sam Bradford. When I look at that list, I can wholeheartedly say Joe Burrow, Andrew Luck, and Cam Newton. But guys, the rest of Trevor Lawrence, I think, has helped them too. But does Dan have a point here, Zach? I mean, this is because the number one overall pick, the Panthers, they are solidified it, and the Panthers traded that pick to Chicago. Is it worth it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting when you think about the fact that Caleb Williams is considered this astronomical prospect that's going to come in and just, like you said, from day one, you're a new franchise. That's not necessarily how it works, though.
Yeah.
You have guys like we were talking before. Trevor Lawrence is up there. I think he's 50-50. Joe Burrow, obviously, yes. But then there's that big gap between, Luck, Newton, where you went Winston, Goff, Mayfield, Murray. None of them, Goff took his team to a Super Bowl, but you weren't necessarily saying it was because of Jared Goff. He didn't take them to that next step. That was the Todd Gurley's in them. So I think Dan has a point. It's a weird situation to be in for the Bears fans because I don't even know what personally I would want to do.
Yeah, that's the point. The point that people say to move on, and they think Caleb Williams is such a transcendent talent. Those people are going to say, move on, reset the quarterback clock, and continue to build. But then other people are going, there was a couple plays yesterday. Justin Fields looked dead in the water. And he escaped just like what Lamar can do and turns in a play that would have been an 8-yard loss into a 12-yard gain and a first down. It was tremendous to watch. And if we're looking at Justin Fields really over the course of the season, now he got hurt in that big game after the big game against the Commanders where he threw for 4 touchdowns, actually back-to-back games, by the way, where he threw for 4 touchdowns back in October. But when he came back from his injury, it was against the Detroit Lions. They lost that tough game in Detroit, right? But he was 16 of 23, 169. Might not seem like much. No interceptions, ran for 104 yards. And when you're looking at his progression, he's played some tough teams and he's played well. So I'll tell you what, DJ Moore is a stud dog, Maryland guy. There's a lot of things to like with Justin Fields. So I kind of lean
Justin Fields, Marvin Harrison Jr., and DJ Moore is a very fun offense to think about.
Yeah, but I do this. I'll play the other side of this. I do think Justin Fields isn't one of those quarterbacks that has the quick reactions where it's going to be, hey, get the ball out of your hands quick. Sometimes he holds on to it too long. That's his thing. But can he throw a deep ball down the field? Yes.
Yeah, he throws a really nice deep ball.
So I think just people have to live with it. Do you want a style that's more like a Brock Purdy where it's quicker decisions, or do you want a style that's more like Lamar Jackson? And hey,
which one's the MVP?
Oh, is that a precursor?
little precursor to conversations later.
Oh, okay.
Oh, stop traffic, Brad. What you got?
I was just going to say to put my final word on this topic. I would say it's one of these things where it's the devil you know versus the one you don't. Yeah. And the Caleb Williams is unproven in the NFL. And we've seen that he's had some interesting emotional reactions to adversity this past season. And I'm not quite sure that that's a project that I would want to take on when we already know that Justin Fields knows how to win ball games. He just needs better personnel around him. And I think that that's actually happening. And I don't know. The second half of this season for the Bears was a lot better than the first half. And I would be really anxious to see what it looks like coming into next year. I think they really started to figure a lot of things out, and to like rip Justin Fields out of there and just think that you can plug and play Caleb Williams, I think is just insane. I just think it's insane. It would be poor coaching. I think that if the GM of the Bears does that, you just need to fire him.
Yeah, and so I'll make the last point. Actually, Kevin with Locked On Ravens, Kevin Ostreicher. Hey, Kevin, friend of the program. Talk about a good kid, by the way. Kid. Kevin, maybe we'll see you on Thursday. Yeah. Maybe. But he said about the situation, they should honestly trade it again. They got insane value the first time, and Fields is showing something. I'd rather just see it out and give him weapons. I mean, hey, that number 1 overall pick, some team is going to overpay. And when you look at that and you look at talent, if you have the right coaching staff in there and philosophy, and how about this? We'll close it with this, guys. I saw on Marlins on the Punchline and Jack Settleman talking about, and Marlon asking Roquan about Justin Fields. Roquan spoke so highly of Justin Fields. And I think when you see a guy like Roquan's character and you see the talent and you see people in that locker room really believing what Justin Fields is bringing to the table, I think you have to consider that, especially with what the team's been doing over the stretch. Now, if the Bears fell apart and they were terrible down this stretch, maybe different conversation. But the Bears now have a chance to finish at 8-9. And this whole different perspective of culture is now changing in Chicago, which is what you ultimately want. You want your culture to change. And right now, Chicago is trending in the right direction. Let's talk about what's not trending in the right direction. Oh, Brad,
I know that you just love a good segue.
Oh, segue to a segue?
Just wanted to pause real quick because I did have some polls out.
I was gonna say I was seeing some discussion in the chat, and I was so confused what was going on with this debate.
I love that. You always get confused because you just.
I know. I try to like piece together what the question is based on what I just see the comments.
Yeah, timeout. Before you say that, it has to do with something. It's with Valentine's Day.
Well, I'm also saying independent. Is Cinco de Mayo in there because someone said someone else is independent? Okay, you see that? Look at that. Smart.
I'm glad your brain's fucking working after whatever you put into your body yesterday.
Only took a few hours, but it's okay. We're back, baby.
A couple of things. First things first. We hit the century mark in concurrence.
Yeah. Here we go.
First time ever. We have 123 hanging in here. And if you haven't hit the like button, hit it already. these are rookie numbers that we got as far as likes are concerned. We got 16 likes and 123 of you guys watching. So if you could hit that thumbs up, we certainly would appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We go live on Mondays and Thursdays and cover all sports. Obviously, our roots are we're deeply rooted in Baltimore sports, so we like to go hard on that. And we will be talking about Ravens and Lamar Jackson content here in just a moment. But I also wanted to kind of go back to the poll here. The poll was the most overrated holiday is. And I put New Year's, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, and Cinco de Mayo. And 47% of you guys said that Valentine's Day is the most overrated holiday.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick. You guys nailed that.
Well, but if you're in a relationship, I think Valentine's Day carries more weight to merit to some people, depending on what your relationship is. If you're freshly dating and you're new and you're trying to impress, might matter. Might matter a lot.
Maybe I'm looking at it from more like what are the best party holidays.
Of course,
I'll tell you what.
Like, I'm not getting rid of Cinco de Mayo.
Well, Cinco de Mayo also some people call it Drinko de Mayo.
Oh yeah, Drinko de Cinco.
I don't think I've ever heard that one, but it could be a part of it. Holidays, I'll tell you what. I'll say this: with whatever we just went through of this gauntlet of the holiday season, I need a reset,
please.
And it's not going to reset after this hopeful playoff run here in Baltimore. That's only going to enhance it or expedite this process of celebrations. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. I know Zach, you need your banned from alcohol for a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm taking a week break.
Yeah.
Maybe a week.
Maybe a week. Maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
All right.
What happens.
All right. That was for our polls. Let's move back into, we just discussed for those that were here about Justin Fields and how the Bears are trending in the right direction. How about a team that's just trended in the opposite direction? You just got the number 1 overall pick last year. That is the Carolina Panthers that did clinch the number 1 overall pick, which is going to Chicago because they made that trade, 2 first-round picks, DJ Moore, woof. But people say, guys, that usually things start from the top and work to the bottom, right? It starts up top. And right now, David Tepper up top, shit is not going well for him for so many reasons. Let's first start off. They make this big trade. Then you draft Bryce Young.
Yeah. Not only did you draft Bryce Young, your head coach and offensive coordinator that you just brought in wanted another quarterback, but you overruled them.
Well, hold on. I don't think that's fair to Bryce Young.
We're talking about the drama that has happened with Tepper.
Correct.
Yeah, like, so we're just saying that this is just his awful ownership.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we clarify that.
Bryce Young, I feel horrible for because he's fighting for his life out there.
He is a talented, very talented player, and he went into a situation that was brutal because what happened was when Frank Wright, who was picked by David Tepper to be the coach, then they fire him, and then you have a press conference to say we kind of wanted CJ Stroud. We thought we were going to get Stroud, but then we took the number 1 overall pick, and we have confidence in Bryce Young. That nothing says I love my quarterback more than I wanted the quarterback on the Houston Texans. Just going to say that. Now the Panthers are playing uninspired ball. Yes, they have their fair share of issues that go through a season and injuries, but the pulse on that team is so far off. And then it hits didn't think it could even hit a higher point, but yesterday, David Tepper, there's a video that we'll show right here of Tepper, his frustrations go through the roof. A Jaguar fan is jawing at him, and what happens? Well, David Tepper says enough's enough, and whammy, a little drink right to the face. Throw the cup down in disgust and walk away.
That's him in this, as you can see right here, pulling up, and then he throws the drink down. He throws on the fan, and then
what a piece of shit.
Who is this next? I think people have been pointing out who this guy next to him is in this white shirt.
I don't know.
I think
he's like non-reaction. Didn't react.
Well, no, I think it's the general manager because I saw people on Twitter joking like he had no idea what to do. Like he was just saying there like Jesus Christ. Like what do you respond like in that situation?
David Tepper is no stranger to these types of things, by the way. He's just a all-around piece of shit. I think it was Joe Pompliano that put out as well. Was it this one? Yeah, here it is. Just wanted to share this with you guys as well. So if you guys can't read this, I'll read it for you. But he paid $40 million to the ex-wife of his former boss for his Hamptons house and then tore it down to build a mansion twice as big. And then he also once said that when a waiter was rude to him, he thinks to himself that I could just buy this place and fire that guy. This is the kind of guy that David Tepper is. And look,
completely hits on the head. He's nearing Dan Snyder levels of bad.
I was just about to say, didn't I say that before the show?
Yeah.
I was like, this is the next Dan Snyder. As soon as we thought we got rid of Dan Snyder, David Tepper shows up.
Yeah, that was so bad.
I thought somebody, Truth Bear says that the Panthers deserve all the misfortune in the world of how they handled the Cam Newton, best player in the franchise history. I don't know if I agree with that. Yeah, Cam Newton, it is what it is, and
was that a different owner?
It was a different owner. That's why I'm saying, like, it's not fair to the fans for that. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's not fair to the fans.
So I think I would pause or back.
Tepper deserves this for a lot of reasons,
yeah,
but not because of Cam Newton, I think.
So I'll say word here. Again, that's Joe Pompliano, and that he could be very right with this, and especially with the behavior that's been going on, a lot of people would go, "Well, that makes sense," or "Oh, I can see that." Right? We don't know exactly, but it does not look good for David Tepper because of everything that's happened so far since he took over the Carolina Panthers. The culture has not gotten better.
Imagine if Jerry Jones did that to somebody.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the part of it when you are an owner of a team, and it's the same thing if you are a star on a team. Your expectations are going to be higher. You have to have a certain standard. And especially when you own the team, you're trying to set a standard to change the focus of the franchise. And for the Carolina Panthers, since they went to the Super Bowl with Cam Newton, they have continued to deteriorate. And this is the hardest thing is how rare of a situation is this, is that you draft your franchise quarterback, sell everything away, give away also a very good receiver in DJ Moore, who now is having his best season as a professional in Chicago, to now you are the worst team. You do not have that number one overall pick. And now you don't even know what's going to happen with Bryce Young because you are possibly ruining his development with what's going on in Carolina. Like this next hire for him is going to make or break what happens with Bryce Young, but you can't feel good about it with what's happening there. And if you look at that division too, who the hell is taking over that division? The Buccaneers, the Saints, who the hell's the other team right now? Sorry, Bucs, Saints, Falcons. This is a window that you have.
Baker Mayfield is by far the best quarterback in that division. Think about that. Like, and it's weirdly not. No, I mean, obviously the Panthers situation is just so screwed up right now. But it is so crazy to think that Baker Mayfield, it's literally his division. Like, if he resigns, it's still his division to lose. Like, he can just go build a NFC South dynasty down there, win a few straight titles, finish below 500 and claim a title.
And shit, I mean, that was the other thing. You give away CMC, obviously with Truth Bear, you're bringing it up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the right move. They had to do that. But you're looking at it right now. Do you feel better about where the franchise was after getting the number one overall pick? And that's the biggest part here is you're sitting here and going, I'm not going to feel good about next year because you don't have that pick to get your team better. And you don't even have a head coach to lead these guys.
It's so facts. They're just such a mid division.
And that's the point
so
of that. And that's why I feel bad for the Panthers fans is that this is a golden opportunity to overtake. Someone has to do it. And that division has a lot of mediocrity, has a lot of talented players, but no team has taken over. So,
and that's what I think is interesting is there's a lot of mediocrity at the quarterback position, but when you look at other positions throughout that division, there are some stars. You have the Alvin Kamaras, the Bijan Robinsons. Like there's a lot of star power. Drake London's. There's a lot of great players, which I think is so annoying about that division that they should be more exciting to watch, but they just aren't. Like it's so hard to watch some of those games because it's going to end 17-13 and the final team to have the ball is probably just going to drive down the field, then throw an interception. Like it's just how it always works, it feels like.
Yep. And I would agree with Truth Bearer on this is that the Falcons are a quarterback away from being a legit team, but they do have to learn how to use their weapons properly. That's number one. But that roster we brought up earlier with the Bears, I mean, the Bears playing so well on Justin Fields, that Falcons defense is one of the top against the run, and they're a solid unit. but they have had a lot of inconsistencies at quarterback, and they have not used some of their prize pieces as well as possible. Having 3 first-rounders in Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson, and for some reason that hasn't all gelled. It's not for a lack of talent, but something there hasn't mixed. But for Carolina fans, I'm sorry. I hope it gets better. I just don't know when that moment's going to be. But I'll say it's tough.
This is hilarious.
Zach looks like Kevin Ostrecker's bad influence party uncle.
I would so be a bad influence on Kevin.
You know what's funny is that you are this young buck over there. You're this young kid, but you also could be that uncle that you should be aware of. You're
without a doubt. That's gonna, like, I already tell my brother, like, when he gets married and has kids, like, I'm gonna be the fun uncle. I mean, I'm gonna be the only uncle, but, like, you know, I guess I'm also gonna be the really non-fun uncle. Can you be both?
You can, no doubt about it.
I'll find a way.
You can.
I will.
All right. I got a new poll out as well.
Oh, boy.
Before we get into the next topic.
Before we get into Ravens are coming up next, guys. So make sure you're sticking around. Hit that thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We see a lot of new people into the show, so we certainly thank you for allowing us to be a part of your evening. But the important questions, guys. I asked recently here in our YouTube poll. Should the Super Bowl be held in cold weather stadiums just as much as warm weather or dome stadiums? And 67%, and the votes are still coming in, but so now 65% say yes versus 35% say no. And I agree with this. I'm with the people here. Like, why are we always in, either Tampa or New Orleans or Arizona and now LA? Like, it just kind of makes it boring. I would love to see a Super Bowl with snow. That would be legit.
No, I agree. But we saw with the MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, I was going to say the team.
It was just a very I think maybe that's why I don't like it, is because it just left a bad taste in my mouth, because it was just that blowout between the Broncos and the Seahawks.
I was going to say, who really didn't like that was Peyton Manning and the Broncos. That was they were not meant to play at that stadium, but Seattle's defense was so damn.
That wasn't the venue though.
No, I don't think.
No, we're not saying it's the venue, but I'm saying who didn't like it, a colder environment, especially with Peyton Manning getting close to the end of his career. That's where I was going with this. But
they got it back in blood next year.
Yeah, and we'll have more polls. Brad's gonna have more polls, and the funny thing is that Zach and I can't always see the polls, so I was trying to pick out what the hell's going on here. Is magical, by the way. Well, so I think it's more for the experience for us, Brad, to know. Okay. We're kind of like, what is Brad cooking up there? A little bit scared, a little bit nervous, a little bit stressed, maybe excited. I don't know. But you know what I am excited about, guys, is to dive into the next topic, because I know a lot of people have been waiting for this, and it's involving another quarterback. We talked about a lot of quarterbacks so far, and we think he is the quarterback. Maybe he's quarterbacky. I don't know what it is, but Lamar Jackson. And maybe we'll talk about quarterbacky maybe in a little bit.
Do word of the week, I think. I would say it's fair. That's the word of the weekend.
Is it in the Webster's dictionary now? It might be.
Oh, it will be. It will be. It's getting, the way it's being used, it's definitely on its way to being in the Webster's dictionary.
All right. So Lamar Jackson. And again, for those that are in here, we do this live Mondays and Thursdays, and we're going to have more dates set up. But thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate this. We're growing, and we have a big 2024 plan. So thank you for being a part of this and joining us tonight. Lamar Jackson, the biggest news, everyone knows the Ravens won in convincing fashion. And most people, I shouldn't say everyone because we know that's not the case, but most people think that Lamar Jackson is the MVP. I know. Word tangle. Yeah. Lamar Jackson is the MVP of the NFL season, right? That's what most people are saying, except one. And it's a former player turned media member. And I understand. Look, I get it. And we're going to listen to his clip. Doesn't mean that I agree with it. And that player is Richard Sherman, who has been openly saying he agrees at how dynamic of a player Lamar is. He doesn't necessarily think he is this year's MVP. So let's play that for the audience, Brad.
touchdown passes in the game. And that's what we needed to see all season. That's the only argument against his MVP case, is that the touchdown numbers aren't there. But again, that's 24 touchdown passes now on the season. And it just hasn't happened in a very long time. I think a couple of years ago, they keep bringing up some Peyton Manning stat where he had 28, where he got it over Brady. That was 15 years ago. People were like, you're hating. I'm just going off what the way they described this award and the way they picked this award for the past 5-6 years. And you cannot show me a situation outside of 15 years ago where they gave it to Peyton, where a guy's getting it with less than 30 touchdown passes in this day and age. You can argue to death. You can say, hey, the intangibles are there. His impact on the game, his impact on defenses, no question about it. That's not ever in question. Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest players in this game and one of the most unique players in the history of this game. The numbers are what the numbers are.
Okay. Let's talk about numbers here for a second, shall we? And then, Zach, you can jump right into this. Numbers. Yes, Lamar Jackson only has 24 touchdown passes. I think we're aware. So 24 touchdown passes. You know how many touchdowns he's run for, Zach?
It's not many. It's
okay, but still 5. He has 5. So he has 29 total touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and he's run for over 800 yards. If I did my math correctly there, I think that's what he's done. Yes, I did my math correctly. He's only run for 821 yards. This is what I want people to dive into more. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens. Hey, what a year for this offense, right? How good is the offense, you guys might want to know? Well, they're the second best offense on a points per game basis. They're only behind the Miami Dolphins, who they just dropped 56 on yesterday.
Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens are averaging 29.6 points a game. They are the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL right now. They have 159.7 yards per game on the ground. They have scored 473 points on the season. And again, I said that they were the second best offense in the NFL. That's ahead of teams like the Dallas-Cowboys, the San Francisco 49ers, the Detroit Lions, who seem to put up a lot of points, right? And here's the other part here where I want people to just drive this home for Lamar Jackson as a passer. Lamar Jackson, it's his best completion percentage in the NFL in all of his seasons so far. He has a 67% clip. It's the most passing yards he's thrown for in his NFL career, more than that 2019 season when he had 3,100 passing yards and 36 touchdown passes. I get it. It was 36. That number looks nice. But, Zach, I think you alluded to how many touchdowns does Gus Edwards have now? 13?
Yeah, it's up to 13. And I was actually just about to go look up Justice Hill because towards the beginning of the season, he was getting some red zone touches at the goal line. But I mean, if Lamar Jackson is playing in Philadelphia, he's got 9 more touchdowns on him with the tush push. But the Ravens tush push is get to the 2-yard line, turn around and give the ball to Gus Edwards. And that's why I'm not going to be concerned about, he only has 29 total touchdowns. Okay. They have the second best scoring offense in the league. It's not all about what are Lamar Jackson's specific personal stats. It's how is he doing it with this offense? And I mean, 13 touchdowns from Gus Edwards on the 3-yard line. I think they said there was a stat yesterday where 3 touchdowns have come outside the 5, I believe, for Gus Edwards. So, I mean, if they want to give Lamar more touchdowns, they can, but they're worried about winning. He doesn't care about stats.
Yeah, and I think who really doesn't care about who scores? Lamar Jackson. Yeah. That's what makes him great. And let me continue this on a little bit further because I'm a little bit fired up on this because this is where it just grinds my gears. Because when people around the NFL go, man, this player's unbelievable. You can't stop him. He's the MVP. There's more to that. But let's talk about numbers then because that's what Richard Sherman wants to talk about. What is the most important time to play football in the NFL? What months specifically or month that the
January? Well, are you saying currently?
January for the playoffs. January for the playoffs, but December.
Yeah.
Get into the postseason. Well, let's talk about Lamar Jackson's December now, shall we? Because to be honest, guys, it was pretty damn good. After that bye against the Los Angeles Chargers, that tough, weird game, they played the Rams. The Rams, to me, are that sneaky team in the NFC that no one really wants to face right now. Lamar Jackson, 3 touchdown passes in that game. Then you go to Jacksonville, leading the AFC South, beat the Jags. Beat the Niners, as we know, on Christmas, and you beat the Dolphins. Lamar has 11 touchdown passes, the 2 interceptions over that string of games. And if you want to go back and look at what he's done overall in his career, the Cincinnati Bengals, who we know that they lost Joe Burrow, but still a talented team. 2 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions. The only game really that you're going, man, really tough recently for him was that game against Cleveland where Deshaun Watson and the Browns, they pulled it off. Yep, it was rough. But how about against don't forget about the Detroit Lions where he had 3 touchdowns, 357 yards. And this is the thing that drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson does what Lamar Jackson needs to do. Lamar Jackson threw the ball 21 times, completed 18 passes, threw for over 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. But Lamar Jackson can also throw for 160 yards and the Ravens still win by 2 touchdowns because he will do whatever is necessary and also factor in your security blanket. Your all-pro tight end, Mark Andrews, is out. J.K. Dobbins lost for the season. You've seen this reshuffling on the offensive line, and they've done a tremendous job, by the way. That's no knock, but that makes it harder. And all Lamar Jackson has done is continued to win games over and over again. So if we're going to talk about numbers, to me, this season for Lamar Jackson, hands down, the most impressive. And numbers aside, I don't care about passing touchdowns. You look at the eye test. Is this not the best player in the NFL right now?
Mm-hmm.
To me, the answer is an obvious yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. The eye test is where this year I think it's decided because, hey, Richard Sherman's right. There are not a lot of great stats out there right now. I mean, in most years, I don't think Lamar Jackson would win the MVP, but no one's going out and dominating every week except for Lamar Jackson the past 4 or 5 weeks. So I think it comes a point where you do go solely off the eye test, not solely off the eye test, but that's where this tiebreaker between the Lamars, the Brock Purdy's, the Tuas, the CMCs, that's where it comes in because every time Lamar Jackson steps on the field, there is no question who the best player on the field is. When other guys step on the field, it feels as if at different times they step up, they take steps back. Lamar Jackson, no matter what he does, it just feels like that's the best football player on the field, regardless of position.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I alluded to earlier in my little rant. Yeah, people don't realize that was the fact that Lamar is over 3,600 passing yards, closing in on 4,000 passing yards, and he's short of 1,000. But because Lamar Jackson didn't run for 1,000 yards, his impact isn't there. And Brad, you even brought this up. Some people are looking at the fact of, well, they're not accounting for his rushing stats, but that's the NFL nowadays. Jalen Hurts, a tush push. Jalen Hurts for the Eagles, he has the tush push. He's getting X amount of touchdowns there. What if Swift cashed those in? It's the point that Zach brought up. That touchdown stat to me is irrelevant. It's can you get your team down there consistently? And no one, besides if you want to make the point of the Dolphins for points per game, but to me, no one has helped their team score more points and be more effective on offense than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, that's what doesn't make sense to me. We have a lot of these talking heads on ESPN and wherever else, Fox Sports, that'll talk about the passing numbers, but they still refuse to bring up the rushing side of it. We have so many quarterbacks now since Lamar's been in the league, and even before that, right? Like the Cam Newtons and the Michael Vicks, where they just wouldn't count rushing for some reason. It's like, did he not rush for 100 yards that game? I don't really get it. Even in Colin Kaepernick's, right? I mean, why isn't total yards and total touchdowns included in this conversation? It should be moving forward, and I'm going to continue to include. I'm going to continue to be that mouthpiece for that because it just doesn't make any sense. I understand, like, you know, when back in the day when it was just pocket passer. You just threw the ball. There was the rushing yards. You know, maybe you got 100 in a season, but now it's totally different, and it needs to be a different conversation. Lamar Jackson has done so much with his legs and his arm that it all needs to be a part of that. And I don't know when that'll finally be accepted, but it needs to happen soon because that's really what the whole body of work should be about. It shouldn't just be about how many times you throw the ball. It should be both passing and rushing because those are still part of the game. Lamar Jackson isn't winning games if he can't use his legs. Jalen Hurts isn't doing it if he can't use his legs, right? So Kyler Murray even. So I just don't understand why talking heads refuse to do that.
Well, it's a part of the evolution of the game, and over time, Lamar Jackson is going to have to pass more than he can run, because if he's going to sustain a long career in the NFL, everyone knows that you're not going to be able to run like you did in your mid-20s than if you play into your late 30s, right? That's the reality. But I think what people are forgetting, and this is actually a perfect segue into this game, Lamar Jackson makes excellent throws. Yes, it might look unconventional, but again, it's what Wedding Crasher. What am I going to say with the quote right now, Zach? You know this. Holy shirts and pants. You got it down now?
Yeah.
There you go. Dan Orlovsky broke down a couple passes from this past game against the Dolphins, and we want you to watch them because this embodies just how tremendous of a passer Lamar Jackson has been. So, Brad, if you have that clip, if you don't mind playing it for our listeners out there.
What do you like most about Lamar's performance? Ball placement, and then Todd Monken, his play caller, coming over. So this is going to be the Isaiah Likely touchdown. So a couple things to point out. Miami is going to bring pressure from off the ball. Both that defender and that defender are going to blitz. This is going to be man coverage on the back end. Likely is going to have this crosser, and he's going to be covered by that safety coming down, okay? So I love the fact that Lamar catches this snap with patience, understanding, okay, I got to hold it just for a little bit. I'm not hot, but I'm warm. I got to hold it for a little bit to try to get that ball to Likely. Now watch how the bottom of the screen, that this corner is going to follow the shallow cross by Aguilar to free up the space. Lamar Jackson's going to confirm that, get that ball to Likely. It's a perfect throw, and then he does the yards after the catch. But there's two things on the reverse angle that everyone needs to pay attention to. Remember I told you, pay attention bottom of the screen that the shallow cross is going to happen. Now when that off the ball pressure comes, I love what Lamar does. He peeks to the right now, okay? He is peeking right here to see number 33. He wants to make sure that that corner is actually going to follow in man coverage on that shallow cross. The athleticism to make this throw is special, okay? Lamar is going to climb the pocket because this tackle is just a little bit late to get out to that blitzer, okay? This is what makes Lamar, I think, one of the very few and rare athletes in the NFL. You talk about climb the pocket. He's going to throw that ball. Both feet are off the ground. He is getting tackled, essentially, or at least a leg wrapped by that defender. Number one thing that should happen, inaccurate throw, a bad ball. This defender trailing on the shallow cross is in great position right now, okay? Look at the type of throw that Lamar is going to make. Again, the ability to make that throw athletically is everything. Here comes that defender. His feet are up in the air. Now, that guy right now is going to undercut that throw, okay? If he makes a good throw, this ball's picked. Yeah. Pick six. If he makes a good throw, because of that, look where this throw ends up. That is unique talent to athletically get basically tackled, but also make a perfect ball placement throw to Likely for a one-handed catch and touchdown. That play is the definition of I'm going to make something out of nothing, essentially, and why Lamar is this year's NFL MVP.
You said throughout the game there are 8 plays where Lamar makes something out of nothing, 100%. And that was one. That's great coverage. That's a great call by Vic Fangio. He's getting hit in the pocket and throws the football in the only place it could be to be caught, which is why Isaiah Likely had to catch the football with one hand.
Ridiculous. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Name 2, 3, maybe 2 other quarterbacks in the league make that throw. Maybe. I mean, Dan hit the nail on the head. The number of times Lamar Jackson makes something out of nothing cannot be valued, or you can't get the true value of it by looking at the stats, because that goes down as just a normal touchdown. You know, when you look at it, you go, okay, 40-yard touchdowns to Isaiah Likely. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
But then you realize not all 40-yard touchdown passes are created equal. This was 4th down, getting hit, and has to put it on a guy who is getting blanketed in coverage. I mean, that was brilliant, incredible coverage by the corner there. And Lamar just made it happen. So it's one of those things where you do have to go and watch Lamar Jackson play, because hell, there are times where he gets a 5-yard run and you're like, how is he not sacked 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage? They had 3 guys on top of him, and it just goes down as a 3-yard run, and people are like, it was a 3-yard run in the stat book. Like, he's not doing too much, though. Like, it's just 3 yards. Then you watch it, and you're like, oh, he actually saved them from losing 25 there.
Damn right he did. And that's the beauty of this. And by the way, I just want to make this point. Everyone that's tuning in, by the way, thank you. This is we didn't know what to really expect on a New Year's. I think
Can we get the sound thing?
Oh, we got the
Yeah,
sound. Wait,
hit
Tom,
the-
is this the right one? Oh,
Nope. You just
Oh.
nope. Don't. Ooh, I
That's-
do not like that one.
that's not
Oh,
good.
that's the bleep out. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we got the
I don't know, but I know it's like if Lamar Jackson is that guy. We can just say he's that fucking guy. Like Lamar is a beast. I can even say without blanking it out. But we just wanted to have everyone on here to I just want to say thank you for tuning in on this holiday. And I know everyone feels very passionate about Lamar Jackson and this Ravens team and the community. And the biggest part, though, that we're trying to prove here is when you are watching this isn't something and that's what I hate with Lamar. And I hate this with all professional athletes in general. And from my background, for those that don't know, like I grew up playing baseball, grew up in a baseball family.
No way.
No.
Yeah.
You?
Hey, you look a lot like that Cal Ripken guy.
No way.
Now
That
that you
Cal
mention
Ripken
it.
guy looks a lot like me, and he wishes he still had his hair. I'm on my way, so I can't really get on him for that shit. But the point I was trying to say is athletes, I think that we need to take a step back and just appreciate how talented certain guys are, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And what I hate is we are watching in the NFL how talented somebody is. Lamar Jackson is one of the most talented players in the NFL, and he is one of the most talented and one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And just because it might look a little unorthodox or it might be a little bit unconventional, the precision, that throw to Likely, that's a perfect throw and a perfect catch. Only Likely was going to make that play or nobody was going to make that play. If you wanted to watch that Lions-Cowboys game earlier on that drive before, Goff threw a pass behind that got picked off. That could have been the end of the game. But that's a difference if you're saying if Goff leads it out 6 inches further, Sam Laporta has a catch and that drive might still have a different outcome. Lamar Jackson, in that case, if that pass is 3 inches off, that's an incompletion. That drive's over.
That changes the whole dynamic of the game. I mean, that was a big situation. If Miami gets that stop there, if they get the ball on the 50-yard line pretty much, and momentum is really starting to change hands, and that would have been a time for them to try to get back in the game, but it really just felt like a gut punch. And, yes, we've sat here and talked about how insane Lamar is and how insane it was by him. We do have to point out Isaiah Likely, dog. That his past 5 games, or I believe it's 4, insane. Or it's his past 5, has 19 catches. He's averaging like over 15 yards a catch, 3 touchdowns. Yeah. I'm trying to go off the dome right now.
Yeah.
I tweeted about it earlier. So you'll find it on Twitter.
There's going to be a different conversation we're going to have for how the hell you tweet so damn much.
I know.
I don't know, especially in your state of mind last night. Like these are getting fired out, and Brad and I are texting back and forth. What the hell is happening? Because I know he is not in the best headspace right now.
Yeah, there was
at Zach Bollinger, by the way.
Yeah, I literally I was going through. I think I tweeted out Happy New Year's like 3 different times.
Yeah.
Like when I went back and looked this morning, I was like, and they were all the same point. Like there was no different point in the Happy New Year thing. It was just different pictures. Like I guess I like saw those and were like, yeah, I won't post that.
Good God, you're a good kid. Hey, Brad, I think you have a new poll. We're going to dive more into this Dolphins game and kind of the aftermath for teams and some other big time players that showed up. But what's the poll up right now?
Yeah, that's right. So, obviously we now know the Ravens won the division and they also locked up the number 1 seed, which means that the Ravens are going to get their bye week. So they kind of get to see who they're going to be playing in the divisional round. And so I thought it would be fun to ask the audience here, if you are a Ravens fan who are watching, who would you rather see in a divisional round of the playoffs? I put the Browns, the Bills, the Chiefs, or the Dolphins. I mean, obviously we already played the Dolphins, so I think there is a little bit of recency bias in there, but 31% so far say the Dolphins, 33% say the Chiefs. We got a lot of votes in here too, 72 votes. So thanks for participating in this one. Bills 15% and Browns 21%. So Bills seem to be the team that nobody wants to face right now, which I find interesting. Yeah, I still don't want to face the Browns. And it's not really necessarily because of Joe Flacco, because I think the Ravens defense can take care of business, because Flacco's been throwing picks all over the place. He's been throwing almost as many picks as he has touchdowns. So I'm not really worried about Joe as much as I love Joe and I love all the success that he's been having. It's that Cleveland defense that really kind of shut down Lamar Jackson the second time we faced him in M&T. So, as a Ravens fan myself, I would not want to face the Browns, even though the Bills have kind of been that crazy wild card type of team. I think that the Chiefs, in my opinion, would probably be the team that I'd actually want to face the most. Patrick Mahomes hasn't played a playoff team, or hasn't played a playoff game outside of Arrowhead. They come to Baltimore.
Yeah, suddenly
it should be an easy win. It should be an easy win. I mean,
we're saying easy win.
Don't you shut your damn mouth, Brett. I will come back there. We are not doing that.
I said it should be, not it will be.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
As much as
stopping you right there.
Part of me agrees, but I just can't say that about Patrick Mahomes. But I agree with what you're saying with how they have looked, and the chemistry is clearly not there right now. Like they do look horrible, but I don't want to see Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, no matter if he's playing on this.
Okay, let me ask you this:
like,
would you rather see this year's Patrick Mahomes? Would you rather see this year's Patrick Mahomes or the Browns defense?
The Browns defense. I don't. Okay, this Patrick Mahomes is still very fucking good.
Yeah,
and so I would
rather play not against the Raiders. Not against the Raiders. I mean, so you see the Raiders, Patrick Mahomes. If you see that Patrick Mahomes, it's over. Easy win. Walking right through them.
I hate you both. I do. I hate you. No, I hate you.
I think I'd rather play the Browns.
That's like saying that what we're doing here, what you guys are doing, because I will not participate.
I love that
game.
I
refuse.
I will not participate in this. But what you're saying is, because the Chiefs aren't winning right now. Well, they suck. The Chiefs are this version of the Patriots.
I didn't say that.
You said it'd be easy wins. That's
who
something.
Who has a better record, the Browns or the Chiefs?
Which team has gone to the Super Bowl more over the last 5 years?
It doesn't matter. That's not that's the past. I'm talking this year. This year's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
I still would. That defense that the Chiefs have can win games. And if the wide receivers for the Chiefs have one game where they can catch the ball consistently, and it only takes one chance in the playoffs to mess everything up. The Chiefs don't have to be good for like the last 4 weeks or whatever it's been the last month. They need to be good in January, and I'm not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes figuring something out. Now, the Browns to me, that is more of they have a good defense, but I think because the Ravens lost at home against to Cleveland, that's not going to happen. Yeah, I would rather that moment, but having Mahomes come in here, there's going to be a lot of stressed out people.
I don't think Roquan would physically allow the Ravens to lose at home to Cleveland twice.
No, that's not allowed. Hey, I just want to make a quick note here for a quick second. We have a new subscriber, by the way. Hey, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Also, he does make a great point down here. He says he would never want to play the Chiefs, and this is very up in the air, because I mean, I would love to play this Chiefs team the way they are playing. But it's Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. We don't know that this is going to be the team that this is how they're playing. He could come out and look like Patrick Mahomes.
Just don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
And this is my point. Moon at noon. That's an electric moon at noon. I like that. Any given Sunday isn't just the same. I agree.
I agree too. I'm just. They're all playoff teams. They all can beat the Ravens.
Oh my God, Taylor Swift coming to the
bank. If we look at the way that the performance of all these other teams have this year, I don't give a shit about what Patrick Mahomes is, how many Super Bowls he's won. This year's teams, I just feel like out of all the teams that are going into the playoffs, the strongest teams are the Bills and the Browns. And those two teams outside of the Ravens, those two teams would be two teams that I probably would not want to face going in the divisional round.
Well, how about this? How about you talk about Buffalo, Bills Mafia? They win against the Dolphins next week. They win the division, and they are going to be the number 2 seed, I believe, right?
Yes, but they can also miss the playoffs.
They can,
which is so weird. Sunday night football might be, because it's who are the teams? I think it's the Bengals, the Bengals, Steelers, and one other team have to win, and that turns Sunday Night Football into the Bills either have the 2 seed or don't make the playoffs, which is crazy.
It's nuts. So we're going to dive into all that as we move towards Thursday because there's just so much conversation. This got me all riled up. Now I guess I'm getting past the tequila last night, and now Brad's got me all fired up about not poking the bear with the Chiefs.
I agree. Only team that has beaten the Ravens this year is the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay, I agree to an extent of that, but gosh, I will say also, the teams go out and win the game. Like, they deserve to win the game. We can say that the Ravens didn't deserve or beat themselves. Yes.
Locked on Ravens. Thank you.
Oh,
there's a situation. Oh, actually, and then we got it up here too at Truth Bear. Wow, you guys are on
Kevin, it sounds like you know this subject. Maybe we need to have you on Thursday. Is that a?
Although Truth Bear did get in about 2 comments before, so Kevin, you got some competition.
Hey, shout out Truth Bear, and shout out everyone that's joining in again on this. It is Monday, right?
Yeah,
this Monday, this holiday, New Year's Day. Happy 2024. We're so glad you guys are here, and if you're new to this channel, hit that like and subscribe button. If you got any questions too, please ask them as much as you want because we're really enjoying this. Kevin.
Yeah. Hey, that's a great idea. Kevin, you should. I could see him doing a streak. I could see him having a streak.
That's weird, huh? I guess maybe we should put him on our team then.
Yeah. Maybe ask if he's around on Thursday. Oh, that sounds like
that's a great idea. Maybe I'll think about it, huh?
I love it.
He's a good kid. Hey, let's wrap this up really quickly then on this Ravens discussion. So what we know, the Ravens are the number 1 overall seed. They can get a lot of rest, especially for some defensive players. That's the biggest part. But I want to touch on one other player that made history for the Ravens this past Sunday, and that is Zay Flowers. Big game. He had that monster 75-yard touchdown pass from Lamar Jackson, broke off a defender, scored. What a great moment. But Zach, I think in the process, he is now the record holder for a rookie wide receiver in Baltimore.
Yep. No rookie wide receiver has ever gotten more catches or receiving yards than Zay Flowers for the Baltimore Ravens, passing Torrey Smith. So shout out to Zay. The first of many records to come. I think he really is special in just a lot that he does. And it's, the 75-yard touchdown, like, that's cool, all that. But it's the little things he does. It's how well he runs his routes, how reliable he is. He always puts his body on the line to go make a catch on 3rd down. It feels like if there's a big 3rd down, I don't know how he always does it, but he makes some acrobatic catch right at the 1st down marker, at least once a game. So Zay is a special talent. Thank you to the Chargers and I guess the Seahawks. I mean, I'm sure the Seahawks are happy with Jackson Smith and Jigba, but thank you, Chargers. I'm sure you guys probably wish you had Zay right now.
I mean, you know what I love about what Zay's doing? We saw in the earlier parts of the year, we were getting him involved early, or the Ravens were. I won't say we because I'm not a part of the game plan, but the team was getting him involved early. Mm-hmm. And then there was this little lull in between where he have these up and down moments because he's a rookie, right? Mm-hmm. But how about over the last, month and a half, that Chargers game dynamic? He had 2 touchdowns in different ways. The stats, receiving yards, rushing might not fully reflect, but in that game, he still had 62 total yards, 2 touchdowns, right? Mm-hmm. That game against the Rams, 60 yards and that big touchdown at the end of the 4th quarter to put the Ravens ahead, obviously went to overtime. Yes, not really involved in the Jaguars game, but how about on Christmas Day at San Francisco? 9 catches, 72 yards, 3 catches, 106 and a touchdown. So, Zach, I guess what I'm trying to get at here is that Zay Flowers is now showing us that he can catch the ball in any part of the field, whether it's a bubble screen, near the line of scrimmage, but he also can make that big splash play down the field. And as a Ravens fan, you got to feel even better about that. And especially, I think I saw a tweet out there, and I'm going to look this up, but if you looked at what the Ravens stat or the box score was last year, and their wide receivers, I think, had 1 catch each. And I know Lamar Jackson wasn't playing then, and it was Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely were leading receivers for the team. Now look at Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman had some big grabs, and obviously Isaiah Likely played well. It's just been really fun to watch.
Yeah, and I did want to bring this up because this was ridiculous when you watch play. Lamar Jackson, after he originally gets the ball, lines up as a lefty.
Yeah.
And it throws everyone on Miami off. If you watch it again, they all run to the one side of the field, and that's when he quickly switches and Zay is wide open. So just another one of those plays where it's, who does that? Who just randomly lines up lefty to throw off the defense?
Well, I'll tell you
Lamar
what.
Jackson.
Lamar Jackson does.
MVP. And that's why he's the MVP.
And that is why.
You can't see that in the box score.
But you can see that if you watch the game.
Yeah. I guess it would be a 75-yard touchdown either way, but it would look good in the box score too, I guess.
Yeah, your argument.
That one, just ridiculous.
Oh, hey now, Brad, are you just
Look
pulling
at
this
that.
out the wazoo?
And then switch. Oh my. I know when that defender first started backpedaling, he was like, wait a second. Although, isn't Tua lefty? They definitely, maybe that's why they did it. Were they trying to?
And whoever put these angles, this is a tremendous video.
Yeah.
Tremendous. Oh, and then ready, whammy, get off. See ya. Goodbye.
He's like Steve Smith Senior 2.0. Like
I love everything about Zay. I love everything about Zay.
And that's the beauty is you want to see from rookie players the development keep going as the season goes. That we saw that last year with Kyle Hamilton. We saw that moment we mentioned last time in the playoffs that he forced the fumble, recovered it. And for me, that was the moment I'm like, oh God, this guy is primed to just ball out. Zay Flowers, you're seeing these moments of he wants to make the big plays. And you know what's awesome? He is making the big plays. This isn't a what could Zay do? It is when is Zay going to make the big play? And that's been so fun to watch.
Truth Bearer brings up what I was just kind of breaking down. I wonder if that was intentional because Tua is a lefty. So in practice, the Dolphins are used to reading a lefty when they go up against Tua. Have Lamar come out, show a lefty look. They bit immediately, and then boom.
Yeah. Well,
boom, bam, do the ding.
I don't know which one it
I
is.
don't know.
Hold on. You want me to try? You want me to try one? Here we go.
Let's see.
oh my
God. Oh, not this again.
Oh no.
Did we fix it?
Hey, why don't you switch to the other chair for a second?
Yeah. Probably don't have to do that.
The other chair, it ain't gonna work.
Oh, sugar. This is tough. I don't know what the hell happened here. I don't know what I'm doing here, Brad. Sometimes I'll be honest.
This is dope.
There it is.
Damn.
We're back. We're
Oh,
back. You
damn
never
it.
know what you're going to get on this show.
Damn
I'll be
it.
honest.
I'm not gonna lie. I was really hoping that I was gonna say something and sound funny.
Can you imagine when Rocco comes back and he's going to see what's going on? By the way, Rocco Cam.
Yeah.
There he is.
No, we got it's at this point, it's the NBA Jam Cam.
It really is. People are really coming to watch NBA Jam. The Jam Cam is electric, by the way.
Oh, we should have something like in the corner. It's just the Jam Cam.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? We're going to have, we're going to be riding on our Adams Jeep, by the way. We're going to be riding that way. Can you get, we're riding? We're riding.
Let me drive the Jeep.
Let me drive the Jeep. Adams Jeep. We're actually getting the banner being hung up actually behind Zach. Shout out Adams Jeep. Have a lot more going on with them. They're they're in Aberdeen, actually, my family's neck of the woods. Adams Jeep, they're great. Brad has his, what is your Gladiator again, Brad?
Yeah.
That thing is a beast. But we have things upcoming with them, so stay tuned. But they are a tremendous sponsor and partner with us. We have a lot more coming with them. All right, I think we fixed the issues here. I think we talked about a lot of stuff with Ravens. Holy shirts and pants. That was rough. Tough for the kid. I don't think we even need to go into the quarterbacky stuff. Do we really? I think
we all know the word of the week.
Yeah.
I guess I say let's just take a quick vote. Do you think this performance was pretty quarterbacky? Because I think it was.
I think it was really quarterbacky. I think honestly, having the amount of people that we have right there, that I'm talking to you guys right now. Thank you for being here. This has been so tremendous so far. We're having a good time, and it's been great. No, we are not going to talk about the quarterback video.
Everyone knows about it. We're moving on. Lamar already made his point. He proved it with his play. So
as quarterbacky as they come.
Yep. Whole baby.
He is a. Oh, I can't even make a joke. I can't even do it
because there's no words. Because there are no words to describe Lamar Jackson. Like literally, like he's just his own special. Like, just no words. And I'm someone who always has words.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I do too, but I sometimes can't get the right words out.
Not when talking about Lamar Jackson. It's hard to. It really is.
It really is. All right. So a lot of things with the Ravens, and just for it to wrap up for everyone that doesn't know, and you probably do know because everyone was partying in Baltimore, the Ravens are the number 1 seed for the second time, the last one being in 2019, that Super Bowl or the MVP season for Lamar Jackson. They want it to be the Super Bowl, and everyone knows Lamar Jackson, this Ravens team, is not satisfied. They understand, but they were celebrating in that locker room. John Harbaugh was getting after in that locker room, and you don't think that the players like playing for John Harbaugh, by the way? Oh, the players don't like him. Are you kidding me?
That's been one of the wildest accusations that like Twitter has come up with over the past few years, is that players hate playing for Harbaugh for some reason. But every player that talks about it always says they love Harbaugh. Clowney said he wanted to come to the Ravens to be a part of Harbaugh, like his regime and what they do. But what do I know?
What do you know?
Best team he's ever been on.
It's a great, and not every player is going to get along with every coach, by the way. But what we're talking about, look at this framework. And you want to go around the NFL of what's happened so far in the past decades. Belichick and the Pats and Tom Brady dynasty, right? Best. What we saw is unheard of. What the Chiefs are doing right now is still kind of unheard of, where a team that's consistently going to the AFC Championship, been to multiple Super Bowls. It's so hard to do. But also what's even harder when you look at what the Ravens and even Mike Tomlin, the Steelers, those Steelers and Ravens both have 2 championships in the last 2 decades plus, 23 years. Not a lot. Some teams haven't even sniffed the Super Bowl.
Bengals.
Well, they've sniffed it. They just haven't been able to fully enjoy it.
Wait,
all right.
Put it back on me. Put it back on. No rings. Okay.
You just had to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk a little bit. We talked a lot about the NFL, and we're going to dive more in on Thursday for those that are around. But for people to know that are new to the channel, again, if you can like and subscribe, and what we're doing here, it's hot, it's spicy about football, right? And we're going to talk about the Ravens and the NFL moving into the postseason for the rest of the season. But we also, when the spring starts to shine, we are in Baltimore. The Orioles had a fantastic year. We're going to really dive into baseball. That's where my background is specifically. And we have a couple things coming. If you think we're getting animated and excited now, just wait until I can really dive into what I would like to talk about, and then let Zach do his thing. And that's scary. It's terrifying.
It is terrifying. But someone made a point. Ryan's homework went on the board.
You are not wrong. You are not wrong.
Although it is kind of crazy because last episode we just found out that, well, Ryan just found out that there is a board that can make this, and now we've messed up the board. So we're moving progress. Like, we've learned about the board. Now we've learned mistakes about the board. The board's going to be good in like 2 or 3 episodes.
So how many times can we say the board?
I love the board.
I love the board. We have another board coming too. Stay tuned for that. All right, let's jump topics then here as we wrap up and get out of here, because we got a lot to go off of. But let's stick into this conversation, and we're switching out of football here because this affects the Orioles, and we want to touch on this. And this was a sensitive subject for the Tampa Bay Rays. I give them a lot of credit for being able to battle the rest of the season. But Wander Franco, their star player that they signed to that massive deal, now is in a lot of legal trouble with having a relationship potentially with a minor. He has been arrested in the Dominican Republic. Not a good look for Wander Franco, first and foremost. And probably for his major league career I'm not going to go out there and say that it's over with, but his time in Major League Baseball very well is over.
Yeah. It's just a very unfortunate, just a horrible situation. Like, it's everything about it. Like, it sucks for just everyone involved, because you just hate to see this stuff unfortunately happen, especially when it involves someone that was kind of becoming a face of baseball in a way. And then you just nothing. There's nothing good to talk about it just sucks. Like, it really just does, because as much as obviously being an Orioles fan, I enjoy seeing the Rays, get worse, and this definitely makes them worse. It's not the way you want to see something like this happen. I mean, it just sucks.
It just reminds you that there's bigger than things.
Yeah,
there's so many. Life is so much more than sports on so many different occasions.
And
right?
It's a privilege to play in the MLB.
Yeah, it's a privilege for all these sports. We fans make professional sports, right? They make the experience, because that then pays for all these contracts. And professional athletes, though, you have to be that talented to play, but then it's not a given that you have to earn your right to be there. But this is not even about that. It's just about doing the right things as a person. And this is just something that as an individual, this is what makes your stomach turn, and that's the part where you just hate to see for everybody involved. But specifically, we'll stick to sports with this. For the Rays, that is a gut punch for them. I think they understood that going in, and they got to move on. And this is another part from a business standpoint. Wander Franco was one of those guys that they extended earlier before he got his major league career going. And this could impact future players getting contracts because of situations. Now, this is an outlier. You hope that's just a one-time thing. But the reality is, this is something that when you're wondering why not every team extends a young player, they look at everything from personal issues to can this guy sustain play on the field, and all of it goes into the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, that literally, he was one of the first guys that they really decided, the big thing for Tampa to do is get these stars, compete for 3 to 4 years with them, and then they kind of trade them off and start their whole process again. And Franco is the guy that they're like, no, we want him to be the centerpiece of this for decade plus. And I mean, that's a tough scene that was the guy that you decide to do that with. I mean, literally for the first time, I think it was their biggest contract ever given out. And then this happens. So,
and I played against him. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
I was just going to say, Adit asked that, did the Rays not do a background check on Franco at all? I think that this is.
Well, he also was signed when he was like 15.
Right. Well, there's that, but also, I feel like you can do as much due diligence as you want, but you can't just go and check on every single person that a player is dating or seeing or what have you. Like, this is something that I don't think was necessarily avoidable from an organizational standpoint, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
There's nothing they could really do about that.
Well, that's the point of you could have a completely clean slate and be fine. It just, your relationships. Now we're in a day and age where you can be misled, but it's still the fault falls on the athlete or person or player involved. You have the right. You have to do your homework more. You have to understand what you're getting involved into. And I think that's what's happening here is that clearly the police in the Dominican have more evidence to prove that there is way more involved with this than what everyone else even knows right now. And for the Rays, hey, credit to them. Talk about a team that goes out there. They lost their ace last year in Shane McClanahan. They lost Wander Franco with this whole situation, and they continued to battle. Now, they did trade away Tyler Glasnow. We'll find out. And Kyle, when and where did I play against Franco? I played against him in 2021 when I was with the Norfolk Tides. Go Tides, by the way. And that Durham Bulls team beat the shit out of us. But Frank, he's a talented player. He really is. So I think that's just the part when you look at some guys where their whole future's ahead of them as a player, and then all of a sudden you make a decision that now that dream, that reality that you worked hard to get to is gone. Yeah. And that's life. But it's also a lesson for everyone else out there. You got to be careful. And hopefully, though, this is something that we stop seeing cases of. No one wants to see this. Now, other baseball news, so we can get out of that topic. We're going to stay still in the AL East. A top tier type pitcher is moving out of the AL East.
Top tier.
Well, no, he's still, in my opinion, when he's on, he still is a top tier pitcher. If you want to consider that, okay. Yeah. Chris Sale was traded out of Boston to the Atlanta Braves, and a part of the deal, the Braves are trading their infield prospect Vaughn Grissom to Boston, and Chris Sale then is going to Atlanta, and Boston is going to help pay a certain amount of money. Sale signed a 5-year, $145 million contract with the Red Sox. Now he goes to Atlanta. As we all know, they're all in. And quite frankly, they didn't think that Vaughn Grissom was in a position to help their team moving forward. And the Braves have already won. They were the top team in the American League. They feel that a healthy Chris Sale can put them even more over the top. And when he is healthy, he can still be one of the best pitchers in baseball, Zach. I know I'm not saying top tier, top shelf of what he was.
Well, I mean, he's still,
but he can.
Yeah. No, there's no denying he's still got his strikeout stuff is still insane. If he wants to go out there and strike out 12 guys, he can. So, yeah, no, if he's healthy, it is a very nice addition for the Braves. But, we kind of got into it while we were bringing it up. It kind of means something else a little bit for maybe something people in Baltimore are a little more interested in. you want to tell us about
Oh,
that?
you're saying that?
Yeah. How does this affect the Orioles?
Is that where I was going with this?
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I wanted to bring it up, Boston is moving on, but also the reason why the Braves made this move, because they were trying to bolster their pitching staff. It probably means that they aren't going to make a move for, I don't know, a pitcher named Dylan Cease, which has been a hot topic for Baltimore Orioles fans. But it does make me think, and we already knew this, but the Chicago White Sox are going to be asking for a lot. Now, Vaughn Grissom is a very good player, and he has little experience up there in the big leagues. And they already made the choice. He was not going to be their everyday guy. He can be a foundational piece for the Boston Red Sox moving forward. But that's one player. For a guy, for Chris Sale, where he's still on an all-star caliber level, but maybe towards the back end. Now think about a guy in his prime in Dylan Cease, who you have team control over. The Chicago White Sox have a high price. And I know Orioles fans are thinking, we have so many prospects. But Zach, I don't think it's going to be as easy to say that, hey, we're just going to give these guys all up, because in my opinion, this might not be what Oriole fans believe, but the Orioles are not exactly where the Braves are right now as far as a team. And that's no knock to them. That's just the reality.
I don't think it's a knock to them at all. I mean, the Braves are where I think the Orioles are going to be in 2-3 years. They're at the point where it's no longer, okay, let's see where we have with these prospects. Let's see how they fit into our long-term plan. The Braves are on the point where they're like, these are our guys. How can we get more proven talent to put around these guys to go try to win 2-3 World Series? And so while the Orioles are maybe looking, I don't think the Orioles would ever make a move for a guy like Sale solely because of, age right now, where if the Orioles are going to give up prospects, they want it to be for someone like a Dylan Cease, who's on the younger side. He has years of control. I think that's more likely, and that's where the Orioles are, where they're still trying to add legit top-line talent, but age and how long they're with them is going to play a factor, whereas with Atlanta, how can you help us this year? If we can get help this year, that's what they want to do.
Here's my thoughts on this, and if we go back to the trade deadline last year, and I don't know if we were able to confirm this, but we talked to a guy on the show, Ryan, and you have to remind me, Jeremy. We talked to Jeremy on here. He was a scout for the Astros, about what the White Sox were actually asking for Dylan Cease, and there were some rumors flying around about Jackson Holiday, and that was the kind of caliber trades they were looking for a Dylan Cease. And we talked about how that was not going to happen, and you almost kind of have to wonder if the White Sox are perhaps asking too much for Dylan Cease. And now that we're 6 months removed from that, have the White Sox organization kind of reevaluated their expectations on what they're going to get for Cease, or not? Are they just not going to budge on that? I would love to hear what you think about this, because if that's the case, then maybe the Orioles will give away some prospects that I don't think that we've talked about the untouchables here on the show before. Obviously, Jackson Holly is one of those, Kobe Mayo, Kerstad, some of those, but there's definitely enough on the farm that I think you could say, okay, here's this cluster of guys we're going to give you, build on these, and we'll take Dylan Cease off your hands. Or is it more likely that White Sox are going to dig their heels in and say, no, we want top tier prospects for Dylan Cease?
And I think something's got to give. But my opinion on this, Mike Elias and Sig Mejdal helped construct this, right? And this is a vision. This is something they've worked on. And yes, they have this next draft upcoming where they're going to have another draft pick near the top of the draft because of Gunnar Henderson winning Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, they have 3 first-round picks.
So you are stockpiling picks, but just because you're stockpiling doesn't mean you want to make sure that you have worked hard to put your team in a position. And it starts with the farm. You can say it's nice to go out and spend, and teams that spend more money, do they win? Sure, I get it. But look also what the Braves have. The Braves have developed some very good players, and then they signed some guys.
Yeah.
Yes, but that is the reality. And the Orioles right now, they're ahead of schedule, and they're trying to figure out the long-term plans here. So personally, I don't see Elias budging. He's going to keep it at his list, and he is not going to overvalue. Did everyone see that Lucas Giolito deal that just happened a couple days ago? It was 2 years, 2 years, $38.5 million, and it has an option to or opt out after the first year. But Lucas Giolito, solid pitcher, had a rough last year and a half, but solid pitcher got $19.5 million. That's showing you how inflated the free agent market is. And so for the Orioles, they're looking at it and going, we're not going to overpay for this. Now, I will point this out. I think at the Orioles, the deadline in July this season, they're playing well. They might push the envelope more because they probably have a better idea of who they have in their system and what they want to do. But if the deal isn't right, they are not going to alter that. That's just my opinion. And quite frankly, I think the Orioles, Zach, have some really good pitchers that are already on their team. I think people forget that Kyle Brash and Grayson Allen could arguably be the best one. Not Grayson Allen. Grayson Rodriguez and Kyle Brash could be the best 1-2 punch in the AL East or in the entire American League.
Yeah, I mean, the talent is still there. I mean, then you have guys like John Means is coming back. We saw Kramer. We've seen Wells. Hell, DL Hall has shown some incredible moments, and, you know, they've said they might look at him as a starter. So, yeah, there is talent. Oriole fans aren't going to want to hear it, but if a move is not made, it won't be the end of the world because there are still great. The Orioles still have a lot of talented players and pitchers at the starting rotation. So while it is the biggest need for the team, it's not like it is a massive hole. I would like for them to get another frontline guy because Dylan sees Kyle Bradish and Grayson Rodriguez as a 1 through 3. There are not many teams that are beating that.
And then, yes, I mean, obviously, yes, a healthy John Means would do wonders for the squad. There's no doubt about that. And I agree. Dean, friend of the program as well, Dean Kramer, he's a dude. Guy. He's a guy when he's on, he can go out there and shut down any lineup. So this is more of it'd be a nice thing to have for the Orioles, but they're in great position. I want people to understand that, and they will do what they think's appropriate. But also with these young guys, you just found out in the last year by not making too many moves that Kyle Bradish was an ace. Yeah. Remember that. You found that out, and you allowed Grayson Rodriguez then to come up and prove that he is a guy that can also be a frontline starter as well, possible ace. So be patient. I know people don't like the phrase trust the process. It's not shit I like to see. But we have a lot more to talk. And as we get closer to the season, this is where I'll have fun breaking down certain guys that I think you guys should look to be excited to watch and why you should. And again, when we work out the board, we have another board that should be, I'll know how to use that one, Brad, I think way better than I know how to use this soundboard. All right. I think that's it for the show. I think we've done a lot. And Zach, you're a good kid.
Yeah, no, we fought through it, you know, woke up this morning, was not thinking we were making it to the show. I'm not going to lie. And, but we're here. We keep pushing forward. At our best, we had over 200 people on the show. I mean, like, what a day! Yeah,
hey, can we get a shout out for those people? What do I have this right? Do I
he's got to change.
Do I try it? Do I try it?
Well, yeah, try it.
Do I try it? Do I try it?
Obviously. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
Oh no!
Hey.
No, we don't want that.
We got crickets now.
There we go.
There it is. Wait, hit it there. Woo!
Hell yeah.
Appreciate you, Kyle.
Kyle, thank you. Yeah, we might not act like we know what we're doing sometimes, but we really do. I do think so. And I think the fun part of this is something we're growing. So for everyone that just joined, however long you've been a part of the show tonight, we do this every Monday and Thursday. We're only going to do this more often as we move into the spring. And again, for people that are wondering, my background, I played baseball professionally. I grew up around the sports world. We're very passionate about our Baltimore teams here. We do talk about our spicy topics and whatever is going on in Zach's personal life. We'd like to talk about that as well.
We'd like to talk about how I show up sometimes not feeling the best after nights out. Although I think this is only the second time that's happened. I think you've shown up rough probably more times than me.
Oh, well, when you're old enough, when you're old enough, Sport, I'll tell you what happened in the minor league life as well, how you have to get back on the horse and try to battle on through. But that does it for this episode of the Ryan Ripken Show. And on the way out, if you don't mind hitting that like and subscribe button, we'd really appreciate it. Welcome to 2024. And the last thing I'll say, if you haven't seen this, if you can follow all of us on X or Twitter, that's where we're the most active. It's at Own the Chaos, which Brad has right there. It's
Yeah,
at Zach Bollinger.
18.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you see my stuff.
Well, geez.
Well, I'm saying like with the amount of stuff I tweet out, like they're gonna say it.
Yeah. So, but the point that what we're talking about, we're very active on there. And if you go back and look at it, even I'll give Zach credit. Zach followed a dream and passion, and it's led us to even being a part of this. So go check out that tweet specifically. If you got goals and dreams in 2024, fucking
Go
follow
for
him.
it. Just go for it, man. Like at the end of the day, just go for it. That's what I've learned in 2023. Just do it. Like that thing, whatever just popped into your head when I just said that, just go do it. Whatever you're afraid of following, just go do it because it's not going to happen if you don't.
No, and the only thing you're going to have is regret. And if you fuck up and you mess up, who cares? Keep moving. And we got a lot planned for you guys in 2024. So for me, Brad, and Zach, and Rocco, who's not here.
Yeah, thanks, Rocco.
Thanks, Rob.
That does it for this episode of the Ryan Ripken Show. We will see you back on Thursday for another episode. You guys enjoy your New Year's Day.
We will see you. I'll show up less hungover.
You're a good kid, Zach.
You won't.
Wait, oh.
Yeah.